Let's be real. Not every woman you date deserves your time, energy, or emotional investment. As women, we often talk about red flags in men, but today we're flipping the script. This is a message every man needs to hear. Because some of you are staying in relationships that are slowly draining the life out of you, simply because you've been trained to ignore the signs. So let me give it to you straight. If a woman says these 5 things to you repeatedly, without remorse or reflection, it's time to walk away immediately. Let's begin. 1, you're too sensitive. When a woman says you're too sensitive, it might sound harmless at first. In fact, it may even come off as light teasing, as if she's helping you toughen up. But this phrase is one of the most subtle and toxic forms of emotional manipulation, and it's called gaslighting. It's not just a casual comment. It's a strategic way of making you doubt your own emotions and reality. When you bring up something that hurt you or made you feel uncomfortable, and the response you receive is not compassion, understanding, or even a respectful disagreement, but rather a dismissal of your emotional reaction, you are being trained to suppress how you feel. That's a major red flag. This kind of comment isn't a one-time thing. It becomes a pattern. Every time you voice your feelings, whether it's about something she said, how she acts, or even something minor that made you uncomfortable, the conversation shifts from your concern to her judgment of your emotional capacity. You're too sensitive implies that the problem is not her actions, but your inability to deal with them. This removes accountability from her and places it squarely on you. Over time, you begin to internalize this message. You start questioning whether your feelings are valid, whether your expectations are too high, or if you're just being irrational. That's the trap. What's even more dangerous is that this statement feeds a societal lie that men shouldn't feel deeply. It plays into the toxic narrative that men who express pain or discomfort are weak or fragile. When this message comes from a woman you trust or love, it hits even harder. You might try to prove you're strong by brushing things off, staying silent, or bottling up how you really feel. But emotional suppression isn't strength, it's self-abandonment. And every time you do it, you lose a piece of your self-respect. A healthy relationship requires space for both people to express themselves without fear of being judged or ridiculed. If your partner can't listen with empathy, even when she disagrees, then it's not a safe space. It's a power imbalance. If your emotions are always the issue and hers are always justified, the scales are off. And when a woman uses "you're too sensitive" to shut down conversations, what she's really doing is prioritizing her comfort over your emotional well-being. That's not partnership. That's dominance dressed in charm. You need to ask yourself, do you feel free to speak in this relationship? Do you feel like your emotions matter? Or are you constantly policing yourself, trying not to come across as too much? Because emotional safety isn't just about not being yelled at. It's about knowing you can be vulnerable without being mocked or minimized. You should never feel like you have to apologize for being human. And here's the truth. Any woman who truly values you will want to understand you. She won't weaponize your feelings or try to make you feel small for expressing them. She'll lean in when you open up, not walk away. She'll ask questions instead of giving labels. Because maturity is measured not just by how someone acts when they're happy, but how they respond when their partner is hurt. So don't let a pretty face or a charming laugh blind you to emotional dismissal. If she repeatedly tells you that you're too sensitive, she's not building you up, she's slowly breaking you down. And no matter how much you like her, respect has to come first. Walk away if she can't offer that. Because the man who's strong enough to feel is the man who's wise enough to leave when those feelings are not honored. 2, you should be lucky I'm even with you. When a woman says, you should be lucky I'm even with you, it may sound like confidence, but underneath that surface lies a dangerous mindset, superiority. That statement doesn't come from a place of love, care, or respect. It comes from ego and manipulation. It's a power move, a psychological tactic designed to make you feel like you're not good enough, as if she's some prize you didn't deserve, and your only job is to keep proving your worth to her. And let's be clear, that's not love. That's control. The truth is, relationships are supposed to be built on mutual respect, admiration, and equal value. When someone genuinely wants to be with you, they see you as a partner, not a project, not a fan, not a follower. But when she says you should be grateful to have her, she's positioning herself above you. She's not in the relationship with you. She's performing a role where she's the star and you're just lucky to be backstage. That kind of thinking poisons a relationship from the inside out. Let's look deeper. When a woman consistently sends this message, whether through words, attitude, or subtle jabs, it starts to erode your self-esteem. Over time, you begin to believe it, you begin to question your value, you start to wonder if you truly are out of your league, if maybe she's doing you a favor. That's exactly where she wants you. Chasing her validation, overcompensating, constantly trying to meet her standards, and terrified of losing her. This creates an emotional power imbalance where she becomes the one who gives and takes away your sense of worth. It doesn't stop at just words. This kind of mindset can influence every part of the relationship. You may find yourself apologizing when you didn't do anything wrong, tolerating disrespect just to keep the peace, or staying quiet to avoid conflict. You might start overgiving, spending more money, time, energy just to keep her impressed. But no matter what you do, it's never enough. That's the trap. She sets the bar just out of reach on purpose, so you're always jumping and never arriving. Think about the kind of woman who says something like this. A woman who feels the need to remind you that she's doing you a favor by being in your life isn't operating from love. She's operating from fear. Fear of not being admired, fear of not being worshipped. So instead of creating connection, she creates dependency. Instead of uplifting you, she holds herself above you. That is not the kind of energy you want in your life. A confident woman doesn't need to put you down to feel good about herself. A mature woman doesn't make you question your worth. She reminds you of it. And a woman who truly respects you would never frame her love as something you have to earn every day or beg to keep. She would show up because she wants to, not because you're beneath her and she's throwing you scraps of attention. The real question is, why would you stay in a space where you're constantly made to feel small? Why would you tolerate being treated like a second-class citizen in your own relationship? You are not meant to be someone's emotional servant. You are not less than, you are not replaceable, and you definitely are not someone who needs to earn the right to be loved. If she truly believes that you are lucky to have her, but can't also say she's lucky to have you, then it's time to leave. Not out of bitterness, not out of revenge, but out of self-respect. Because you don't need to prove your worth to anyone who can't already see it. Walk away with your dignity intact. The right woman will never make you feel like you're just lucky to be around her. She'll make you feel like you're meant to be together. When a woman says, "My ex was better at that," she's not just talking about her past. She's sending a message loud and clear. You're not enough. Whether she says it during an argument, in passing, or disguised as just being honest, this type of comparison is not only unnecessary, it's emotionally damaging. It strikes right at the core of a man's self-worth, and it's meant to. Because someone who truly loves and respects you does not compare you to the person they chose to leave behind. Let's break this down. Relationships thrive on emotional safety. That means both people should feel free to be themselves without fear of being unfairly judged or compared. When a woman brings up her ex in this way, she is subtly trying to control or manipulate you by triggering your insecurity. It's not an accident. In many cases, it's a power move. By saying her ex was better, whether it's in bed, with money, in handling problems, or anything else, she places a mental weight on you. You start thinking you need to compete. You start analyzing yourself, wondering where you fall short. And that's the hook. She now has you trying to prove yourself. You're no longer being loved, you're being evaluated. It's important to understand that comparison, when used like this, is a tool of control. She's not saying it to be helpful. She's saying it to trigger a reaction, to get you to change something, or to remind you that she had option. It's a tactic used to keep you on edge, to make you believe that her love is conditional, and that if you don't measure up, she could easily walk away. That fear she's planting in you, that's not love. It's emotional leverage. What's even more toxic is that this kind of behavior trains you to accept emotional disrespect as normal. You might start brushing it off, telling yourself she's just venting or being honest, but over time it chips away at you. It makes you second guess your strengths, your manhood, your efforts, and eventually you might even feel like you're in a competition with a ghost, someone who isn't even in her life anymore, but somehow still has power in your relationship. Let me tell you this, no one has the right to make you feel like you're standing in someone else's shadow. A woman who's truly over her ex does not bring him into your space, mentally, emotionally, and she definitely doesn't weaponize him in conversations to make you feel less than. It's disrespectful, it's immature, and it's a clear sign that she hasn't done the emotional work to heal or move forward. And if she hasn't done that work, then you need to ask yourself why you're carrying the weight of someone else's unresolved baggage. Real love doesn't compare. Real love accepts, appreciates, and builds. If she feels the need to constantly highlight how her ex did something better, then maybe she should go back to him, because you are not here to compete with someone she chose to leave. You're here to be valued for who you are, not who she wishes you were. Don't get caught in the cycle of trying to meet unrealistic or shifting standards set by someone who can't see your worth. You deserve a partner who sees you as enough, who encourages your growth without constantly pointing to your flaws. And if she can't offer you that, then it's not a relationship, it's emotional warfare. And you have every right to walk away from that battlefield with your self-respect intact. A woman who truly cares will never use the past to punish the present. She'll build with you, not compare you. And if that's not what she's doing, you owe it to yourself to leave. Because you are not a placeholder for someone else's memories. You are a man worthy of love in the now. When a woman says real men would, it might sound like she's challenging you to be better, but in reality, it's a manipulative statement designed to control your behavior by attacking your identity. It's not about growth. It's not about communication. It's about forcing you into submission by using your masculinity against you. And when that phrase becomes a pattern, it doesn't lead to a stronger relationship. It leads to resentment, confusion, and a gradual loss of self-respect. Let's be very clear here. No one gets to define what a real man is except you. The moment someone tries to fit you into a box that only serves their needs, you are no longer being treated as an individual. You are being molded into someone else's idea of who you should be. When she says real men would never complain, what she means is, I don't want to hear your feelings. When she says real men would just handle it, what she's really saying is, I want you to absorb everything silently while I keep doing whatever I want. This is not empowerment. This is coercion dressed up as expectation. There's a dangerous cultural lie hidden inside this phrase. Society often tells men that in order to be real, they must be stoic, emotionally detached, endlessly strong, and constantly providing. So when a woman taps into that narrative, she's leveraging decades of conditioning to make you feel like less of a man anytime you disagree, set a boundary, or express vulnerability. Suddenly, it's not just a conversation anymore. It's a challenge to your very identity. And many men fall for it because they don't want to appear weak, emotional, or less than. They stay silent. They sacrifice. They become smaller versions of themselves, hoping to finally earn that elusive badge of being real. But let me tell you what a real man actually is. A real man has the courage to walk away from manipulation. A real man has the emotional intelligence to know when something doesn't sit right. A real man communicates. He protects his peace. He values his time, his energy, and his boundaries. And most importantly, A real man refuses to be emotionally blackmailed just to maintain a relationship that is costing him his dignity. When a woman uses this kind of language repeatedly, she is not helping you evolve. She is trying to reshape you into someone who exists purely to serve her version of happiness. This isn't love. Love doesn't demand transformation through shame. Love invites growth through support. If you ever feel like you're constantly being tested, like every disagreement turns into a statement about whether you're man enough, that's a toxic environment. And toxicity doesn't improve over time, it only gets better at disguising itself. The danger of this manipulation is that it's often subtle. It may not even sound aggressive. She might say it with a laugh or a smile, but the effect is still the same. You feel pressure. You feel judged. You start questioning whether being yourself is enough. You begin acting out of fear. Fear of being seen as weak. Fear of being left. Fear of being left. Fear of being left. The effect is still the same. You feel pressure. You begin left. Fear of being left. Fear of being left. Fear of being left out. Fear, and in doing so, you betray your own values and identity. You deserve a partner who challenges you from a place of love, not one who criticizes you from a place of control. You deserve someone who sees your masculinity as a gift, not a weapon to use against you. If you're in a relationship where your manhood is constantly being used as leverage, then it's not a relationship, it's an emotional hostage situation. Walk away, because a real man is not the one who stays and suffers silently. A real man is the one who recognizes his worth, sets the standard, and refuses to let anyone, no matter how beautiful, charming, or loving they may seem, define who he is through manipulation. That's strength. That's self-respect. That's real.